Welcome back to the new Bold Oola Life channel. I'm your host, David Newbold. Over the last few weeks, Ransom and I have been talking about Oola blockers and accelerators. This week, we're continuing the series by looking at laziness and integrity. Let's get into it.
Let's get bold.
As mentioned, I'm here today with Ransom, and we're talking about laziness and integrity. This time, I get to deal with the blocker, so I'll be sharing on laziness. Do you like pushing yourself to the extreme day in and day out? I know a few people who are always working to test their limits. And I know a few people who have worked so hard at something that they just burned out. Testing your limits is a good thing, but pushing too hard for too long isn't a good thing. However, I think more people are inclined towards not pushing themselves hard enough, especially when you're in comfortable circumstances. So, if you realize you haven't been challenging yourself or haven't tested your limits for quite some time, what can you do to combat laziness? Setting a goal that you're excited about, including having more time to do what you enjoy, is one great way to overcome it. Now, I've got an interesting story from a few years back at a company I used to work at. When I was starting out, one of my coworkers, tasked with showing me how things at the company operated, said something that really surprised me, but made a lot of sense. He said, "I'm actually really lazy. I want to be able to relax and take care of everything I need to at a leisurely pace. So I figure out what I can do to make things easier on myself later." He was showing me some Excel spreadsheets he had made so he could quickly copy repetitive information into forms we had to fill out on an almost daily basis. Many of the other tools and resources he introduced me to were focused on making things easier and faster to complete so that we would have more time to enjoy the work without feeling rushed. He put a lot of work into making those, but the payoff was much greater than what he had put into them. And I realized that a lot of items we surround ourselves with on a daily basis were birthed from a simple desire to make things easier for ourselves, or a goal to be lazy. Weird, right? So the thing is, if we're drowning in the things that we feel like we have to get done, the Skittles from last week's episode, we won't have the energy to work on what really matters, the oranges from last time. So at the outset, we might need to make one of our priorities figuring out a more efficient way to take care of the repetitive tasks, or Skittles, that are taking up so much of our time. The real trick is, once we figure out how to knock out some of our Skittles faster, not letting other Skittles fill their place, but rather having something more substantial to take their place. That's one reason why Ransom and I are so adamant about setting a bunch of quality goals. We mentioned last week that focusing on your big goals as a priority and letting the Skittles settle around them will help you take care of both. In the same way, having clear quality goals ready to fill in spaces that open up when you figure out more efficient ways to do the stuff that's taking up most of your time will help ensure that you don't just end up taking on more Skittles and feeling more and more busy without actually making progress in the areas that you really care about. Now, one final note on laziness before I hand things off to Ransom. Rest is not laziness. Excessive rest is, but no one can keep going at maximum forever. All of us need to rest at certain intervals, or we will burn out. Figuring out that balance and how much rest you need so that you can be your best can be a challenge, but it's worth taking a step back and candidly evaluate what you really need. And being candid with yourself is a part of integrity. On that note, let me hand things off to Ransom.
Got it, man. Did you like that? I'm getting a chance to talk about integrity. So actually, David, you're showing what integrity is by you being honest about your situation with that blocker and presenting it to the people out there. So thank you for doing that. I'm grateful I get to be the positive dude. Yeah. So here, integrity, man, this is such an important topic to me. I feel it is one that could really help you in your walk to seek new challenges and make bold choices. I consider it, guys, it to be non-negotiable. Integrity can be associated with honesty. I would bet most people see it as how you act toward others. I, however, see it in a much different light. In my opinion, integrity has to be more important to keep for yourself more than others. I say this because it's only logical. There is no one we are more likely to be dishonest with than ourselves. We will tell ourselves we will do something, and then in the next moment, do something counter to what we just said we're gonna do. Have you been guilty of this? I know I have. To me, there is no worse feeling than knowing you let yourself down. I find this harder than letting others down. I'm extremely hard on myself. I just won't let up sometimes. I'm so mean. I'm so mean. uh, Look, okay, I like to tell stories, so I have a good, but I'm just going to be honest, painful story doing something that I thought I never would. So let's reverse 14 years ago. I made a vow to myself that I broke right before I got married. In my youth, okay, I went to a few adult woman take your clothes off clubs with friends. You turn 18 and you went to the ones that you didn't have alcohol. They're like, come on, man. You're like, all right, let's do it. Stupid. After a few times, I decided to promise myself I would never enter in another one of those places again. Well, I got engaged in 2006 to my beautiful bride. After a very long engagement, the wedding was drawing near. Before every wedding, there's always a bachelor and bachelorette party. So my best man asked me where I wanted to go. I told him I wanted to have dinner and just, hang out. He said, I think I have a really good surprise for you. I was like, okay, just as long as it's not a strip club. I'm from saying it now. Look, the night for the party came. I was getting ready to leave when I said goodbye to my fiance. She asked me what we had planned. I said dinner and hanging out. She asked me if we'd be going to a strip club, knowing my best man was not a Christian man. He did not have any issues with such places, but I did not want to go to these places anymore. I said, oh, I'm sure we will not. It's going to be rather wholesome. The van showed up. I got in and went to dinner. We went to Mongolian Grill. We enjoyed a great meal, and the men told me it was time to go to the next place. I thought nothing of it until we pulled up in front of the club. I was upset at first, man. I just refused to go in. Then I let them talk me into going in, man. Look, I had no intentions of doing anything else. I sat there and watched all the other men take part in, let's call it a pay-by-the-minute dancers. Then I heard a loud announcement come across the speaker system calling for the bachelor to report to the stage. I walked up there literally like a fool. I didn't want to, let the other men down. I went on stage where I got tied to a chair, and every single one of the dancers bounced their bottoms on my lap. Now look, none were naked. At least he did that right, but they weren't absolutely fully clothed. So after, count them, 30 some odd butts were bounced on me. I got untied. I came down from the stage. The rest of the men thought it was awesome. I'm just gonna be honest, it was an experience I wish I could have erased from my life. Oh, yeah. That ain't pretty. They're not. Sometimes they're, sorry, I put out their stripper moms, and you're just like, oh, no. Okay. But my beautiful bride, they didn't want it anyway. So shortly after that, they dropped me back at the house where my fiance and I were living. I came in and cuddled with her for a few minutes before I planned to leave and go sleep in my bedroom. So we slept in separate bedrooms. She asked me what we did. I told her the good things. And I almost didn't tell her the last thing, but then, dude, I just couldn't help myself. I'd tell her. She was angry and upset. You know your sister, that's true.
Yep.
I apologized profusely and I told her that I took full responsibility. After a couple of hours of talking, everything was better. So it was just like 12. It was like 2 in the morning. Oh gosh. She knew this was not my character and she decided to forgive me. The next day, one of the men who was with me saw me. He asked me what I thought about last night. I told him what I thought. I communicated with him how it really messed up things with Sharon and how I had to spend several hours making everything better. He got upset with me. You believe that? And said, you don't have to tell her everything. You could have just kept it to yourself. Without hesitation, I said to him, you want me to start my marriage off with a lie? He paused. You could see it contemplating. He said, "Oh, I see your point." Yeah. So here's the thing about it. Admitting to my wife was one of the hardest things what I had done, but most rewarding conversations I've ever had. I now see this moment as a gift. It actually made my relationship with her stronger than if I had lied. I also know beyond a shadow of a doubt, I will always stay with integrity, not just to myself, but to others as well. And so here, we're going to leave you that episode without a challenge. So this is it. I want to leave you with this to make sure that you always stay within integrity. If you ever breach the code of this accelerator, I strongly advise you to admit it so you do not fall into the other Oola blocker, which we're going to talk about later, guilt. That's my coaching moment for today. David, you want to sign us off, man?
And that's it this time. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to tap that like button, smash that subscribe button, and share your thoughts or questions in the comments below. We'll be back next week with the next blocker, self-sabotage, and the next accelerator, discipline. Be sure to check it out. Until next time, remember to seek new challenges, make bold choices, and keep it balanced. Cheers.